Why is it not recording? Do that just in case. Oh, it is what it is. Before we get too
What's the wheel of time?
That's when I always saw that. I don't know. It looks good, though. It
Yeah,
kind of up my alley.
Yeah, it's got some Lord of the Rings-y shit.
Yeah, I've
Prime.
seen the previews for that, but I don't really know anything about it at all.
I just finally caught up on, like, the shit. I watched Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi was fire, dude.
It was good.
I was trying to tell everybody, man, that might be one of my favorite Marvel movies now.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I loved it. I'm into that, like, the kind of the martial arts style.
Or even,
shit.
like, Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Like, I like that style of Marvel.
Yeah, that shit was
And
good.
they obviously tie all that in.
I think that definitely was. I don't even know if it was underrated or overrated or not. Honestly, I wasn't really paying attention, but I thought it was good.
I think most people liked it. I think it was pretty spot on.
If anybody that saw it, I don't think you could not like it.
Yeah, I think it was pretty spot on. And then now Spider-Man, dude, people are freaking already.
Dude, yeah, that's Spider-Man's all people are talking about. I don't know. I saw that new trailer. And I'm like, this. I'm gonna, unpopular opinion here. Like,
You don't like Spider-Man?
I love Spider-Man, but I hate this new concept. If it's what it was kind of projected.
Oh, multiversity thing?
Well, no, the fact that he's like there to basically save all the villains.
Oh, I didn't even.
He's
pay
like kind of
attention.
like he's basically trying to like protect all the villains from like dying or getting killed. It seems like I'm like, what is this soft ass shit?
I do feel like
there's
that,
no stakes.
I do feel like that's a little Marvel-y though. Like they don't like to kill people.
Well,
No, but they
like-
still like beat the bad guy. He's like trying to help the
Yeah,
bad
but-
guys. Like
Yeah, but like
survive.
Spider-Man doesn't kill. He like
No.
webs up and lets the cops get him.
I guess, yeah.
Well, that's the same thing with Superman and Batman. That's the thing with the
Right.
Why Man of Steel. Part of why Man of Steel was not popular, other than the fact that it sucked, was that he kills Zod at the end. Oh, he didn't have any choice, but he kills Zod. It's like, oh, Superman doesn't kill. It's like,
Yeah.
well, they wrote it so Superman had to kill. That's the answer to that question. But they didn't have to write it that way, right? I mean,
No,
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Look what they're doing with this new Batman. It looks like he's a killer.
No, it's supposed to be Dark.
Yeah.
and it looks cool, but I don't know how necessary.
Even
it is.
Patrick Bateman
Killing cats.
version of Batman, which is Christian Bale. He wasn't. He didn't kill anybody either.
Yeah, I don't know if that's comic books or what, because I never really read comic books. I only watched.
No, that was always been a thing with Batman. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just watched
Leaves
90s
him for the cops or whatever.
All I know is 90s cartoons: Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman. That's all I know.
Yeah, I tried to rewatch the X-Men, like 90s X-Men on Disney Plus.
Too rough?
It just doesn't hold up.
I think you watched the Spider-Man. I watched
The Spider-Man's still good, and
yeah,
the Batman's still good.
I watched
on
an
HBO.
episode. It was still good.
Yeah, the Spider-Man still holds up. The X-Men didn't.
Just the animation though.
No,
yeah.
this is story.
Stories really
Terrible.
too.
Yeah, a little slow, a little.
You just realize, like, oh wait, like this was just all. I just was just staring at this as a kid.
Because it's totally coming
'Cause
back.
yeah, I saw that they're
X-Men
doing
97.
I do remember even
Maybe
as
they
a,
said better writing this time around though.
Probably.
I remember
possibly.
some of the X-Men being even kind of slow for me as a kid.
They were, yeah.
Even as a kid, like, why isn't there more fighting? Like they're kind of talking in the school or something. You're like,
Every
what's
episode
going
was
on?
like the same too. It was like Wolverine, then Sabretooth comes out at the end and
Yeah.
gets away. And so
Yeah.
every episode you're like, oh god.
But that is what made Wolverine cool, I guess.
also like talk about like the most OP, but then like unaffected like villain. Sabretooth, like he was way stronger than all them, but then he like never.
He was supposed to be a better Wolverine.
But he
kinda.
just never really had any like I don't know. It's just weird.
That's all there's always just harsh flaws and all that, right? Like the Deadpool and the Wolverine movies. Like they make him a god.
I did watch that. Red Notice.
I haven't seen it yet.
I hate The
Shit.
Rock.
So do I, but I still had to watch it.
Yeah, it's a good Netflix movie.
Hey, guess what? People watched it.
No, tons did.
It is the #1 movie ever on Netflix.
Well, you get those 3 stars
in one day.
They're probably the 3 biggest stars to ever do a Netflix exclusive,
for sure.
Probably.
right?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
then,
yeah,
like,
100%.
how do you lose? The script could have been worse. Like, it wasn't
Oh,
a terrible movie, but it could have been worse, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
still going to get viewed.
Yeah, it was literally like you could be like honestly half brain dead and still follow that plot.
That's why I watched it. Yeah, I watched it 10 at night.
Yeah, you just don't even. You could walk away, come back, and you didn't miss anything.
They try to make it like a sneaky Da Vinci Code. You know what I mean? It's like a dumbed down Da Vinci Code.
You know what it needed? It needed one more time for the Wonder Woman to come in the room
and
that
also
they're
be
already
bad
in.
again.
And like, I think it was 3 or 4 times that they broke into a room, and then she would come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, boys, you're late. That happened like 4 times.
Yeah, that was the
I'm
plot
like,
twist.
you're not doing this again.
Yeah, that was the plot twist. It didn't get you?
Oh my god.
But
But it was still entertaining and fun to watch.
It's funny how different people react to differently to different films. Like Dune. I liked it.
Mhm.
I liked it quite a bit.
Mhm.
I still haven't watched it. I need to.
I thought it was great.
But I saw somebody on Twitter, somebody I follow, somebody who followed me, somebody that I think has pretty good taste, said, well, if you want to see a film where people talk to each other all the time and walk from place to place and basically nothing else ever happens, then definitely Dune is your movie.
But
I didn't think that really at all.
But that's a hater's take on Lord of the Rings too.
Yeah.
like you want to see
Game of
people.
Thrones.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's Game of Thrones.
No, Game of Thrones is literally all talking.
Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings, the joke's like let them walk through the seasons or walk through the, and you're like, yeah, kind of. But
And also, it's a setup movie. Dune was, and I think they were probably 99% sure they were going to get the second one.
Right,
So it's like
they got a big cast too in this one.
huge
I think
cast.
I thought it was I loved it visually. That's what the whole thing is. Visual porn is what that movie's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Same guy that did Blade Runner 2049. Same
Yeah.
director. So I was like, you knew it was going to be like a visual showcase.
Yeah.
Only a little bit of Zendaya, tiny little bit of Zendaya at the end.
Yeah, little
She's more of
teaser
a- build up into the next
for
one.
sure.
9 minutes of Zendaya.
Yeah, I thought she was going to be like, they obviously marketed it because they're smart, that she was going to kind of be like a major player in it, which she will be, I'm sure. But
Right.
I also didn't know that she's like 5'11" or 5'10". She's tall as fuck.
She's tall.
She
I
looks
think
super tall on the screen. I'm like, she looks tall. Maybe it's just the cameras and stuff. And I looked it up. No, she's 5'10".
I know she's doing like runway-ish things, and obviously like modeling and fashion have changed because they'll just use someone who they like their look and are famous now. But she, looks
Still
like
kind of
she's-
fits the classic
Yeah,
mold.
she
of,
kinda
like,
looks like
runway.
that.
Yeah.
Plus, she's in the Spider-Man movie too. Movies.
Yeah, true.
And they're dating now.
Yeah, and
Her and
she's
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's taller.
They date in the movie? Not really yet.
Oh,
Kinda
no,
yet?
yeah, they are.
They are in the movie. Yeah.
I forgot.
That's part of the setup. Is that
Oh
He-
yeah, you think Mary Jane's the other chick?
he wants somebody. He wants Doctor Strange to wipe everybody's memory that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, except her-
not MJ.
Yeah.
right.
That is a different take on MJ too, right? It's like your neighborhood fucking redhead and every other
Yeah.
take.
She's
Kristen Dunst? Is that who it was?
It was in
Yeah.
the Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just when you thought we were getting away from like bringing everything back and just redoing everything, they just bring back all of the
You got
Spider-Man
to.
characters.
Yeah, you got to.
I can't
and
look
the
at
original actors.
Yeah.
I can't look at Kirsten Dunst without thinking about her as a child in Interview with the Vampire, and I just always see that she's got fangs. And
Is that the one with
Brad Pitt and
Oh.
Tom Cruise?
No, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it either.
I was thinking of the one with Nicolas Cage when he thinks he's a vampire or whatever, and he's like losing his shit. Vampire's Kiss.
Vampire's Kiss. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that was not a good movie. just FYI,
Yeah.
in case anybody was wondering, that was not a good movie.
I do know why like steroids and fitness are like an issue with dudes now though in our generation because the 90s cartoons last touch
Oh,
on it,
dude.
they're fucking
They're
jacked.
enormous.
Pe- Peter Parker's supposed to be like a nerd, right?
Yeah.
And like in that thing, he's like a reporter, and he's fucking more jacked than Superman. You're
But-
like, what the fuck is going on, dude? You're ripping out of your polo tee.
I don't know. Tom
young
Holland
T,
is
man.
jacked too now, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
140 pounds.
yeah, he doesn't weigh
Yeah.
much. He's
no,
like,
but Peter Parker,
Also,
like,
those suits are CGI'd up, puffed up.
yeah, but Peter Parker in the 90s cartoon, he looks like he's 220-pound linebacker.
yeah.
He looks like he's fucking 6'2".
Like our boy Terry here, when he was a tennis player, like
Yeah.
240.
Terry,
Can you imagine that?
That's so good.
No.
What did he say he got up to, too? Like 330 or something after that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about the Commissioner of Power. I am Jim McDonald. With me, we have Silent Mike Farr,
Hello.
and Dean Saddoris of Caffeine Kilos. We've been doing these for a minute. If this is your on-ramp to our show, please enjoy. We don't always do media reviews, but we have been doing them this year. The idea is to look at documentaries and docu-series and the like that have a fitness or sports element or a business element that applies to fitness and sports. And so we've been doing this since, I don't know, March maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And this one's probably, we did Pumping Iron, obviously, but other than that, this might be the most on the nose, like in our niche wheelhouse. Maybe even more niche because none of us are friends with Arnold.
other than
And not that we're friends with Todd, but
Yeah, you guys are
it's similar. They're like
pretty close to a lot of these guys.
Yeah, it's a small circle. Larry Pacifico being in here, who actually
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've met Larry, but obviously a big name I followed for a very
I
long
met-
time.
probably at the Arnold or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's Jimmy.
Jimmy, yeah. I've Larry's on my
Yeah.
Facebook. I know he's
Yeah.
probably on yours too, so it's Jimmy. Yeah, this was made by really Rogue. really what it comes down to. Rogue financed it. It was actually produced by Samson Media and directed and written and produced by Todd Sampson, who I didn't realize until the end that he was the person behind this. But like, he's in my phone. I've met him before. I've hung out with him. He's the least.
He's in your phone?
He's in my. Well, he's like listed in my phone. I have his
phone for ants.
I have his
Zoolander.
I have his phone number.
They're in the computer.
I have his phone number. I could call him now. We could just conference him in.
I didn't know Terry Todd passed away. Until because
3
some
years
interviews.
ago.
Oh, was I not supposed to say that?
No, that's fine.
Jim
but
gave me the look like I just spoiled it.
No, you didn't.
Fuck.
You didn't. But there was a stylistic choice in this movie where they spoke about him in the past tense when they interviewed people.
I feel like not always though.
But
maybe
not-
I didn't pay attention to, because towards I feel like it might even be extra
A
stylistic.
lot of was.
Yeah.
But
Not a lot of is.
But they would say like Terry was meaning, and then they would talk about him being 20.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he was a good tennis player. Oh, okay,
And then
right. And then you're like,
occasion-
oh, that's like it's saying like, oh, Mike was a good basketball player. Doesn't
Yeah.
They
mean he
had some
died.
interview footage that looked pretty crispy.
It was
Yeah.
crispy.
Pretty
It probably
HD.
was
Probably like literally
2017, 2018.
Yeah, 18 probably.
Yeah, some of it, yeah, because the I think that the Arnold that's in there is maybe 18.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
17, 18.
I remember that
I think-
that setup.
I
at
think
least.
that they did a lot of 16, 17, because that's when Thor and them. That's when it was kind of popping.
That's when it was like crazy in there.
Yeah, that's when
I remember
Strongman
that.
started gassing like YouTube. They were all starting pumping hard.
Yeah.
I do remember his face, Terry Todd. I might have shook his hand.
He looked familiar. But
He's,
I-
he's around the
obviously I went
Arnold
to
a ton.
Arnold
Yeah, he's
lot,
around.
so.
But the thing that caught me even in the movie is he was a little bit rounder faced. Magnus for Magnuson. I think they have a very similar look.
Yeah.
And I obviously knew who that was too. I've met him, but that kind of like even in the movie, it kept popping in my head. Like, damn, they look a lot alike. They do like
Yeah,
look very similar.
yeah, for sure. And I didn't remember him until I saw him actually,
Yeah.
like footage behind the scenes at the Arnold, and one of the Arnolds. I don't know which year it was. Probably 11 or 12. I actually had a backstage media pass, so I went behind the scenes of the Strongman. But you try to stay out of everybody's way, and you're not trying to shoot, a ton of video, and it's dark back there.
And it was
so,
different back then. Like when did Strongman go to the main stage in the Expo hall?
Later.
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
15, 16. That's
Yeah.
why I think the footage was definitely 16, 17, because that's when it was like such a big deal that they did it in the middle of the thing, and it felt like a rock concert. Like I snuck away and saw some of the deadlifts.
There was a couple of years where I never even went in the main room.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
That's not a bad idea. You guys were
Yeah.
often set up outside.
Yeah, we were
by
we were set up in the
weightlifting.
weightlifting
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
and then we did the main room though the last time we were there, which was good to get in front of new people, and we actually had a decent spot, and we did like a good little. Remember that challenge we did with you got to hold out the coffee bag
Yeah.
for as long as the
Yeah, that's
winner
strong
the
manny.
winner would get winner would get a a gift card. It was like every day we did a new winner or whatever, and got some good it was a good little fun time meeting people that had never heard of the brand. Anyways,
The big expo's funny because it's such a mesh of everything.
out at the zoo.
We're like where you were, you're like everyone kind of knew who Caffeine
And we
Kilos
knew
was
everybody.
in a good way. In a
And we
good
probably
way.
knew
yeah.
everybody,
But you're in
yeah.
the middle there. You're like, dude, this guy like it just lives in like spray tan, and
Yeah.
he's never even seen any of this.
Well, then you got the locals
Yeah,
that just
you
come
got-
because something's going
yeah,
on.
Yeah, there's so much random shit.
and they just got all the swag just
Yeah.
pouring out of their bags.
Yeah, free stuff.
Oh, yeah, what do you guys got? You guys got samples? What do you guys got? You guys got free samples?
Yeah.
Free bags of coffee?
Yeah. No, man.
Nah, dude.
First
Nah,
time
bro.
I went was probably 2004, and it was a thing where people just would get the biggest bag that
Yeah.
they possibly could and just fill it full of shit, and then the next day go back and do the same thing and bring an extra suitcase for all the extra shit that they got. And they stopped. The sampling got smaller and smaller.
And you
over
got
time.
bang throwing cases of of energy drinks in people's faces
From
on the stage.
girls wearing less clothes than strippers.
Oh my god, choreographed dancing. It's a fucking zoo in there. Do the light shows. Man, I kind of miss it at the same time, but I kind of.
But you don't need to experience it again
No.
either.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
know.
just it's only going to get worse.
And never mind.
The year before the last time that I went, I was thinking, man, I just don't think I can do this a whole lot longer. And then the last time, I was like,
It's exhausting.
Yeah,
it's
it's a lot.
exhausting. People are like, "Oh, what do you like?" It's so funny sometimes. People are like, "Oh man, it looks like you had a good time out there." It's like, I mean, yeah, but dude, you don't understand.
Working is so
It's a
different
nightmare.
too.
It's
Yeah.
a nightmare.
Setting up, cleaning up, how many hands you got to shake.
when you're talking for 12 hours,
Yeah,
like
it's a lot.
you feel like you're sick.
Yeah.
You feel hungover. You feel sick, ill.
And our time change. Like if you run the VIP hour there, I've talked about this a lot. I used to set up the booth, run the VIP hour, which started like East Coast time 6 to 7 for the people that bought an extra expensive ticket. And I'm waking up then at like 4 or 5 East Coast time, which is like fucking midnight my time. I obviously didn't have time to adjust. I just flew in the night before, and I'm like fucking dying. 3 days of chaos.
Yeah.
What I do, we'll start from the beginning of Terry Todd, eh?
Yeah.
I think the first thing that popped out at me is that he was a powerlifter. Even when I knew him on stage, and I kind of got confused about him and Magnuson and who was who, I knew that this dude was like a strength teller, like like one of the OGs. I just didn't know his story. I didn't know he was a powerlifter. Well, I think it's his wife doing the interview, talking about how his
sister.
They did both. They did both. They did do both.
They kind of looked similar.
No, they did kind of look similar, but I think
like sister wife, but not really.
Yeah, I think his wife was the one who was talking about his winning powerlifting the first ish, whatever that meant, powerlifting nationals. And she even said it like that, like it was the first kind of organized one. And you saw the AAU background,
right,
which means it probably was like the first legitimate one. And he won both of those, and I think she said by like 300 pounds total or something.
75 pounds.
Yeah, it looked like it was like a landslide.
Yeah, and this looked like, I don't want to judge men or say we always talk about it, but it looked like a little pre-steroid era. And I don't think AAU was testing that hard. I think it was just probably not as popular of a thing, because powerlifting probably wasn't as popular.
One thing.
I know I know steroids were a thing in the 1964, but I just mean in this community. It didn't look like it.
I don't know, man. I'm tired of all these documentaries just ignoring the fact that everybody's on shit.
Especially when they start talking about strongman, and
it's just like
you're like, these guys are.
We just started eating a lot at one point. Someone's just like, I just started eating a lot. yeah, I'm sure, dude. And then you just go to this local town and like just destroy everybody.
It is a fine line, not to skew the whole podcast that way, but it's like, because everyone's argument is like, oh, well, it's illegal still. You can't talk about it. I'm like, dude, like. They're not trying to arrest you for having one dose of fucking steroids for yourself.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna get a dealer. It's like pot or any other drug. Like plenty of people have admitted to things. So like I don't know if that's your cover up for you not wanting to be marketing more transparently.
Yeah, just as an aside, I got a question from somebody who feeds us questions, who's a member here at the gym sometimes, and not a member sometimes. Sometimes he feeds us questions. He's like, hey, you guys should do an episode about like how much does it cost to be on steroids? And I'm like, I don't think I want to go there.
Are you fishing for information?
I don't think I want to go there. I don't think I have an answer for that currently, and I don't, and like, how do you approach it? It's like, oh, well, people who are actually like have prescriptions and they're, some people get insurance coverage, like I don't know how much they pay. That might be someplace to start, someplace legal, but I don't know.
Turn 35 and go see a testosterone replacement therapist.
Yeah.
And they'll just write you a prescription.
It is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, I know you're not trying to shade, and I think that Dean is closer to being correct, and I don't want to call out anybody specifically, but there's some very large muscular people in this who they're not bodybuilders. They're not.
Some of them started to look like it though, which is cool, because that's what brought raw powerlifting back. Having guys like Stan Efferding and Dan Green lift huge raw weights and look cool.
Yeah.
Because the middle era, like just after Ed Cohn,
thick boys,
they started to look really gross.
Yeah.
Like Ed looked pretty dope, right, in the 90s. Larry Pacifico looked cool in the 80s and 70s. Who was the other one? Kazmaier looked fucking sick.
Yeah, Kazmaier's classic.
He looked so
dude.
dope.
I remember watching Kazmaier in those old strongman videos.
That was cool that they had a lot of like, because strength is so niche, like Dan Green, despite his great efforts to build the sport or whatever, his success in the sport isn't a household name.
No.
But Mark Henry is creeping on it. Bill Kazmaier's creeping on it, in terms of
Mark Henry is known.
Mark Henry, I knew before I even knew who Mark Henry was.
Right, which is cool,
Yeah.
And so like for them to get that in the movie was really dope, and they talked a lot. It wasn't just like a little like blurb cameo from a pseudo celebrity. Like they were attached to the story a lot.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know.
He was kind of a protege of
their son.
Well,
it looked like a Custy Amato Mike Tyson deal, which was cool.
Yeah, it was like kind of like a live-in, like honestly, like what they do with like gymnastics girls.
Yeah.
Like if your daughter wants to go to the Olympics,
you didn't do that podcast with us, right? You missed it. Athlete A, the gymnast doctor
I missed
one.
that one. I missed that one.
Go watch that movie and then
No, I
tell
think I
me
did
about
watch
the
it
living.
still.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, even like one of our athletes, Carrie, when she was a and we're going through the ranks as a youth. Basically, it was like, yeah, you want to go to the top level? All right, well, we're going to send you to this one place that does the best. And you got to live in Texas. You're 13 years old, moving to Texas for, 5 months without your family.
Yeah.
And you're just doing homeschool there, training.
What's funny though is that they,
which is weird. If
which
you
is
think about
crazy.
it, of course, super weird.
But I think more normal in other countries. Even my buddy who played basketball at St. Mary's and now plays professionally in Australia, like a 10-year career, absolute stud. Shout out to Clint, you Aussie cunt. He moved away to Australian Institute of School, basically a boarding school just for sport when he was in 7th grade. Like, oh, you're pretty good at basketball. Yeah, you're just going to go to the school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Basketball school.
Yeah, literal. And they did tennis and other stuff at that school too, but his was specialized in basketball. And I think that's how it is in the UK. I think obviously Russia's probably got some programs. You hear about what China does.
I mean, shoot, that's why they got all these leagues.
Yeah.
Because they got to put these people somewhere.
Yeah, and even here, it's like starting to get more like that. Like prep schools are really popular here. People kind of sneak away before college,
turn 18.
What our
private schools are too, right?
A lot of them.
They're kind of recruiting. If your kid's good at a sport, you're going to a local private school.
Right. Yeah.
Jesuit's going to hit you up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we'll give you a free ride here. Jimmy plays quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, it works that way. What I didn't know about Terry Todd, and I don't even think they talked about him being into strength and like physical culture, which I do think is a really cool just term because that's kind of what I'm into too. Like powerlifting is what found me.
I even saw one of those books on the shelf.
It was called Physical Culture.
It's like physical culture. I'm like, oh, that's sick.
But they didn't necessarily talk about his weightlifting stuff. Yet it seemed like he was coaching Mark Henry in weightlifting.
He was.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously taught him strongman and stuff afterwards.
And powerlifting.
And like stone culture.
Yeah.
But it sounded like his background was powerlifting and then maybe just studied like a motherfucker, got into weightlifting.
Yeah. And probably the most intriguing thing about him is that he was such an intellectual. And he,
Yeah, bookworm.
Yeah. PhD. And
they also didn't say what he taught ever.
No, they never said that.
They said he started bringing around stones and shit for kids to like throw around and shit, but they didn't ever say what he actually taught. In my head, it's history. Yeah. That's what I noshed him out.
That was also the first time I've seen the owner of Rogue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. Yeah. I think we both met Bill.
Yeah. I know Danny has done most of our communicating with him as far as the business side of things, but mostly with his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, I saw that the Austrian oak, the big overhead press, log press deal. I saw that actually the day before it was used the first time at Rogue with Bill. So
nice.
It was pretty cool.
That's tight. I thought it was cool how that guy Terry here was so aware of like how to do things properly.
Yeah.
Like even like orchestra, like, okay, we're gonna have 4 guys pick this.
Yeah,
thing
do a
up.
show.
Yeah. Like kind of like really church it up. Like,
well, that's what it's called.
Obviously impressive.
That's what it's called. You don't say I'm going to a strongman competition. I'm doing a strongman show.
Yeah.
And that's why I think strongman. I was getting in an argument somewhere. Where was I? Shout out to Garrett Fear. I was Garrett Fear was doing a live, and I didn't get a real argument, but I'm chopping it up in the comments as people are wiling out. And strongman, or to grow any sport, you need like viewership. And this is a different conversation for a different day, but we were talking about the weight class exchange in powerlifting that's changing a bunch in a bunch of different federations. But basically you need viewership and interest to grow any sport. In powerlifting, it's not that spectator friendly. It's just not. It's kind of complicated already. There's different federations, there's different bars, there's all this weird shit. Weightlifting's a little bit similar, and it's kind of slow to watch in a sense. Even though I do think weightlifting is slightly more dynamic and more interesting to watch from an outsider. But the people that watch those two sports, powerlifting and weightlifting, a lot, are often participants in the sport, whether casually or competitive.
Yeah.
But strongman.
No, everybody. Someone off the street come watch it,
and you're stoked on it. This dude's lifting a car frame. Like, fuck, that's crazy.
When you go to a powerlifting or weightlifting meet, the people in the audience are your family or the other people waiting to lift.
Right, or lifters that
or
are
maybe
just,
someone from the gym. That
that's
it.
It's
like, I want to go support Jimmy because I know he's lifting.
That's all it is. Because you don't understand. Like, if
I know a lot of
talk
Jimmys
about like Timmy's what we use in video games when you talk about just like a random kid. But you don't understand what 800 pounds is. You're like, wow, it seems like a lot of weight. That guy's really strong. Cool. I see his veins bursting. But when you see someone lifting a car, you immediately understand what the hell's going on.
Truck tires.
Yeah. Even the frame,
rocks.
they're like just lifting like a fucking wood frame or like the fucking catapult looking thing. You know, like you understand what's going on. Yeah, the rock. You understand someone moving a rock. You're like, wow, that stone's really big. I couldn't move that. So it makes a lot more sense for that sport to be, and that's how it started on TV as well, right? They're grabbing like Arnold Schwarzenegger and a linebacker from fucking the 49ers, and I think all that is so cool. It's the same with like UFC or something, right? Like it's just a spectacle to see specimen be the strongest, be the baddest man, be the best fighter, and you don't have to know a thing or participate in any of it to kind of enjoy the view.
You can turn on a strongman and just like watch 1 or 2 rounds, and you're like, oh, I know what's going on here.
Yeah. Oh, he's got to move that heavy thing from here to there
There's
the fastest.
Like rules of like, is his arm bent
or coefficient, or what if Thor weighs less than Brian Shaw? He might not win this one. Like, no, move that heavy ass shit from here to there, and who does it fast wins.
Yeah, no, that's what makes it so much fun to watch.
Individual events, yeah. If you're trying to figure out who's going to win the overall, you're often shit out of luck.
Yeah, but even
their
points are pretty simple. I think like it's like 10 for first place, 9 for they try to keep it simple. It's just not a coefficient.
No, it's not a coefficient, but there's always more to it. And the weird thing about strongman is they often don't announce the winner until like the banquet that night.
Yeah, maybe. But it's same with like gymnastics though. You like even gymnastics with this 9.8 shit and difficulty stuff is still, you don't need a calculator. You can understand like, her routine's a 9, she got an 8. Okay, like powerlifting is like they just make it. They make the entry to barrier to entry so stupid. Like no one's gonna care or understand if you keep switching the calculator every month on who wins this stupid sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't understand that. What is with that?
I don't know.
Like, it's so strange.
Yeah.
Like, and I know you're trying to like make it better, but like you got to fucking stick to something.
Right.
It don't even matter what it says anymore. We just need something consistent.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, as long as everybody's being compared on that same scale, what the fuck does it matter if it says 5?
Right.
Like, oh, she went with a 5.
Yeah.
Okay, 5's I heard is the best.
5's good. Yeah. Make it. Yeah.
Well,
simplify it somehow. Because then viewers will care. Like at least start to care.
Yeah. But pretty often in strongman though, you cannot win get the highest number of points for every event and still win.
Yeah. Which is it was same with CrossFit and stuff, right? Yeah. If you really sit in the top 3 for a bunch of events, you're going to win. Consistency, which is cool though, because it shows you're good at like the endurance thing, you're good at the overhead thing, you're good at the carry thing.
Well, here's the thing though. So I was reading this like Morning Chalk Up article about, I think it was more. It don't matter. And then they were talking about possibility of changing the point system in CrossFit now. Like how can we like do how can we make it like even more fine-tuned? But then you're going to get stuck in the snowball where it's constantly going to change. Because they're talking about like, how like they want to start maybe possibly incorporating, this might have been someone's idea or their idea, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But how can we incorporate how much someone beat the field by into the scoring?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I was like, what do you mean? Like, why does it need that?
Right.
Like, who cares if
in
she
basketball,
beat everybody by 3 minutes in this one workout?
Right.
She's really good at that one workout. She got first place. She already got her credit for that.
Yeah.
Like, why do we need more credit for that?
A double-digit win in a normal sport, you still just get a win in your record.
So
it's a W or no?
Yeah.
So they're trying to turn it into the old like amateur football playoff system, the like college system where strength of schedule or
I guess
no,
so.
even worse than that, because strength of schedule makes a lot of sense to me. Because if you play in a shitty league and you go 10-0, versus if you're Ohio State and you go 10-0, it's much different. But yeah, like what they're talking about is like you being a specialist and getting an advantage. Because then a marathon runner could show up to CrossFit, bust that fucking marathon event, and then he's all of a sudden got 100 points out of nowhere, where every other event you're winning 5 points.
Yeah. And I still think it would probably balance out, but it's just like I don't think it just doesn't need it. Like, why are we trying to overcomplicate like simple shit?
Yeah, I don't think you need to either.
Going back to an earlier point, though, the stylistic choice of not speaking of him in the present tense ever, like a lot of documentaries would have reframed those interviews so that people said, hey, please do it this way, so you're speaking of him in the present tense, and then you introduce the death later on, and it has a big punch because you don't realize that they're dead. Because
this one had a little,
or even if you did know, you would still get punched.
Well, this thing, like they told us that he was dead officially, like during the credit roll.
Right. Yeah. I think this one had a mini punch, I was going to say, because the last event they really talked about was 2017 or 16 was a strongman, and then this just came out right now, basically in 2022, and the Arnold's kind of been nulled, right? COVID and whatever, it hasn't really been a thing. So I think it was still a mini punch, because they were always talking about him in the past, too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Terry really liked blah, blah, blah. And
it wasn't clear at the very
70s.
beginning, but then like less than halfway through, it was kind of clear, like,
a little bit.
Okay, this guy, they're really talking to him in past tense.
Yeah, I think it hit me when his sister was talking about like his poetry or something, and she was getting like a little emotional.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, why are you getting so emotional? Like this poem ain't that good. Yeah, she was. Yeah, I was like, why? It's not that emotional of a poem.
Yeah.
So one of my questions here: what is the point of view or the agenda of this film? Do you think?
I think it's to highlight like a lesser name that had such impact on the sport. Because when you think about like strength and at least even in niche, right? Like the three of us are pretty fucking as into this thing as you can get, and no three of us really knew this guy's story or his impact, which just seems to be huge.
Seems to be like one of the biggest.
Yeah, maybe one of the
especially
first
like
cats.
With the Highland Games stuff and like bringing like U.S. people into the Highland
and his
Games.
knowledge and Mark Henry and Kazmaier and his effect on all that, or even the university level they talk about, and his influence on the NBA they go into. I think it's to really highlight that, because when we think about it, you think of like Kazmaier because he had an insane career, John Anderson because he was like the first quote-unquote powerlifter strongman of all time, Louis Simmons. You think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. We have these names that we kind of pull up when you think strength, but there's always like underlying cats that have crazy influence, but it's on a micro scale that turns macro by who he influenced.
Micro macros,
baby.
I think I think they had a bunch of this footage and all these interviews and stuff, and we're planning on doing something. And then obviously this came out, I think, the day after or the same day as the Rogue Invitational this year.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, hey, like here's this thing that we're really going balls deep in right now is strongman, Rogue right now, right? Like they're really sending it.
And his connection with Rogue, and then he probably obviously would have been a big part of this. Was this Rogue's first strongman invitational? Because they've done the CrossFit one.
Yeah, I think it was their first time doing it with the strongman.
Right. So you would imagine
positive.
They would have probably
so
worked with him.
Informational piece here on top of the event.
Yeah.
So like here's like this thing that we're throwing in your face now that you've been seeing a lot, and here's the history on it.
Yeah.
Double down on the media part of it. Good timing.
It's good timing, and yeah, they probably were missing him because they probably would have used his influence at that event.
They've been building this out for a while.
Yeah,
probably so. And he was behind all the implements that they were using.
Yeah, it seemed like he was the CCO.
Yeah,
right. He had the creative reins on all the events.
Yeah. Now, what was I going to say? That about 4/5 of the way through, it does really become a commercial for Rogue for a while.
Yeah.
And
you
they're paying for it, so I get that.
It was on their. They dropped it on their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The beginning felt very normal documentary, like you could have been on Netflix. I agree.
Yeah.
When you're talking about his childhood, and then they go into the Arnold, as business goes. I understand it, but it then became very roguey.
Yeah,
which is fine and dandy because I mean, at this point, they are kind of the reigning kings of all this promo equipment.
Yeah.
Like they've done, there's other great equipment. We use Sornex in here. Shout out to Sornex. I think their equipment's equally as good, if not better, but like they don't, the Rogue has these pieces, right? The promo,
no secret.
The events, like they have all this shit.
Yeah. They're the Nike of equipment.
Yeah. They're doing it.
The thing that we've watched this year that I had watched before this year that this reminded me the most of, honestly, that was Power Unlimited.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if this feels like a better Power Unlimited about one person.
Yeah, rather than
and
a
their
sport.
impact on a bunch of different sports.
The Larry Pacifico was kind of a random toss in there too. Obviously, he grew up with him, and Larry Pacifico is probably a name for most people that watch this film that they have no clue, right? Like Larry's pretty niche. Maybe even like I feel like the
I don't really know him.
Yeah, and in the CrossFit world, they probably don't even know Eddie.
He's on my Facebook. That's you know.
But like we're like
Eddie Cohn?
Eddie, yeah, right. Like I said, the CrossFit world wouldn't. You're in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the CrossFit world, or who stereotypically would subscribe to Rogue's YouTube, which actually isn't that big, by the way. It's 700K. I thought it was way bigger.
Yeah.
Which is
really?
big obviously in the YouTube game, but not that big.
For Rogue, you'd think they'd have 1 million plus.
Right. But yeah, so Eddie. Yeah, if Eddie's Michael Jordan, Larry's probably Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, a Bill Russell type character. Definitely on the Mount Rushmore, but predates Eddie by a little bit.
That was actually one of the things that struck me is the people that I expected to see in it that I didn't see in it, and Cohn is definitely one of them.
He was in the background.
Where?
One of the strongman events. I saw him wearing like a yellow shirt. One of the early Arnold strongman events. I saw him creeping back there. I think it was one of the ones Mark Henry did, the 2002 one maybe.
Okay.
I saw Eddie in the background creeping on
I feel
stage.
like they really stuck to like Rogue athletes too.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, right? Because then you got to deal with contracts and who you're paying out or who you're not paying out or who you have access to.
I mean, I know they had other people, but like I think the bulk of it was like the celebrity types were like, the Rogue athletes.
All the Rogue connected ones. And actually that comes to another question.
Or people super connected to Terry himself, where like Mark Henry might not be a Rogue athlete, but this was like his second dad, so he's going to say yes to help.
For sure.
Right,
I mean, it looked like it was like a live and train situation there.
one of my questions, I'm going to try to make a standard question, is like how accurate is the portrayal of the industry? And I think that it's pretty good, except for the people that you would think would be involved who are not involved.
I would say, yeah, besides maybe like the steroid stuff we're talking about, et cetera, et cetera,
Yeah.
which just is always tucked under the rug. And like,
I thought it was so funny that one part when he said, he came into this small town and lifted the rock over his head that no one's ever done. Oh yeah, they're also not just test tube babies for steroids.
yeah. You were in Scotland where they're like playing rugby and soccer kind of and drinking some beer, and this dude's a fucking mutant.
Yeah, you're a mutant from the U.S. with just like chemists around you.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and maybe we talk about it too much, and people are like, yeah, dude, get over the steroid thing. But like, I even think other sports where like, as soon as you bring up the NFL, someone's going to bring up like CTE, and someone's going to bring up like pain meds, or you bring up like
Are people really complaining about steroid talk?
No, I don't think so. But maybe, I don't know. But because
I know what you mean.
It is just such like a cornerstone in my head because it is still like the dark side of the sport that no one wants to talk about.
I think that we're just so sick of it just getting glossed over.
Right, for like marketing purposes or like this clean look.
I think that's where we're coming from.
Yes, me too. And or if you bring up pro wrestling, someone will bring up the dark side or bring up a Chris Benoit. Like the conversation is brought up in these other big sports, but in ours, no matter what, we're like, oh, are you trying to negate their effort? Like, no, bitch, I'm not trying to negate their effort. They're way stronger than me. They're way better than me. They're way more dedicated than me. I could take all the steroids and fucking Mars, and I'm not going to get as strong as these guys. Like, fuck you. I'm not saying that, but it's such a large piece of these people's success and the industry. Why are we ignoring it?
Yes.
But my reflection on it is really kind of that they're trying to tell every little bit of his story for an hour and a half, but at each one of those points, like early powerlifting, early strongman, they touch on Highland Games and Olympic lifting and whatever. You don't get a full picture of any one of those things. All you get is a little bit of a touch of him,
which I think is maybe good in terms of if you're trying to get the regulars to like this, because you dig too deep into all those and it probably gets boring again. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to get my mom to watch a strongman thing or whatever.
This was pretty niche documentary.
I don't think anybody who's outside of this.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
strength world is going to watch this.
Probably not
from the first impression of it, from the trailer or any of that. If you're not into it, then you're not.
We probably wouldn't even have watched it or known about it if I just didn't randomly see it.
No,
when
for
I was
sure.
watching something else.
I'm just saying, like, if you go all in, like, compare it to Power Unlimited, like that's purely about kilos and powerlifting. Like that's so much more like nitty, I guess, gritty. To expand the sport, I think it actually did a decent job of not going too deep.
Yeah. Sam, tell me again, what was the name of that podcast and the guy that it was about?
I don't want to make fun of anybody while you're getting that data, but we're going to make fun of people. You know those, like those weird niches that people have? Bob Hoffman.
Of what? Nice try. Okay, go
on. Where there's like an internet joke about cussy, car pussy, where these guys are like are in love with their cars, like sexually. Or like people are in love with like trains. What are those people called? I got that vibe, and it's not from these people in the movie, but I got that vibe when they talk about stone culture or boulder culture. Like, just say you like fucking ancient strength.
It's like Crash. It's like the movie Crash.
They make a weird. It gives me a weird vibe when they say that word. The people in the movie don't give me a weird vibe. I'm like, you're just obsessed with lifting stone. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have that kind of draw to those like.
You want to fuck a rock?
Yes.
A russy?
Yes.
A rock pussy.
But a rock. I love the history side of those like
I do
legendary strength feats of strength.
It's literally when they say like stone lifting culture. They use those words, and you're like, I don't know. Why are you so obsessed with just rocks? I understand you could easily replace that with ancient physical culture, or ancient, right? And then
or dog show culture.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like
it
best in show.
I just love to think that there's like these just like objects out in the wild all over the countryside that are known by people.
No, I think it's cool too.
People have like picked up and like put on, like there's that like the one by the pub, right? That's outside of this bar.
Yeah.
That
it's
hundreds
cool.
and thousands of people have tried to lift.
It's cool, just they don't talk about it cool. They didn't make it uncool when they talk about it.
Do.
And I think about fucking weirdos fucking their 1987
you
Firebird.
Think about My Strange Addiction.
Yeah.
Where the guy's underneath his car making out with the front of it.
Yeah, licking the oil and then spitting it out. Yeah.
And then they like cut the scene when he's like talks about like where he has sex with it.
No, I've literally seen YouTube videos of guys with their ear on their hood talking about missing their car and fucking it.
Oh,
That's the vibe, not from the actors, but just when they say like stone lifting culture, I get that vibe. Like
Just-
you're too obsessed with
Just
one
wanna
weird
run
little
my
thing.
sack across that stone.
Yeah. Oh, the dirt on it today is great.
I love going there early in the morning when it's a little dewy.
Yeah, cold. Yeah, cold and wet. Moist. Moist stone lifting.
I did not know this is where we were going. Anyway,
It's Mike's fault.
Not bad.
my point about other people who are not involved. You said Bob Hoffman, right? Yeah, York Barbell.
Yeah.
Like he's
Yeah.
the guy who paid for there to be an Olympic weightlifting team forever and coached them and all this stuff. And you talk about Olympic lifting, but not deep enough to talk about like how Olympic lifting came to be a thing.
But that's
Yeah.
a business move, right?
yeah, I'm sure.
Well,
Right,
so,
'cause
like,
there's Rogue.
They're trying to sell their museum.
They're selling the museum
Yeah.
and the Rogue. And what does York do? They build barbells and they have a museum. Yeah, so.
But it's so you're not getting really an accurate representation.
That's
You're getting
all these.
one
That's
slice.
All these.
Right.
You know, there's like that weightlifting documentary that was going around in like around here. It's like about the PWA and stuff, like Pacific. And it was like selected people weren't in it. You know what I mean? It's just like
So
it
it was
doesn't really
political.
doesn't really paint the picture of how things are going over here because there's people that aren't in it.
Yeah, even every single movie we've seen, especially the ones that are more niche, like West Side vs. the World, and everything that we like all know a little bit. Like we know there's politics going on, we know there's business going on, and we know there's a dark side they're not talking about.
Yeah, we're just too close to everything, so everything's ruined.
Right, kind of.
I think that Louis not being in it and mentioned it in the powerlifting world is a little bit weird too.
I think he just probably skips that era, right? Because he
Yeah,
talks
I
about
guess so.
he talks about like 1960s when pre-Louis, because even Louis when he's talking about like
It was
Culver
the
City.
70s.
Yeah, it was the 70s when he's talking about Culver City, West Side, and then they don't talk about like powerlifting gear at all because they even have Kaz, but he's like kind of in single ply, maybe raw in a couple of them.
Jimmy Pacifico's in a bench shirt.
That's it.
That's pretty.
And even Larry was probably early single ply days, right? He probably wasn't in the heat of multiply, so no need to mention it.
His multiply is gone. Is that gone?
It still exists. But,
There's so few. We can look up the numbers. It's
I don't know,
hundreds versus thousands.
Yeah, Garrett would say 500, and Michael Fahey would say a lot more than that in terms of people who.
I mean, we can just go to Open Powerlifting and just find the data. Yeah, literally who competed. Yeah, I bet it's very few. Yeah.
Interesting.
Who is this for? We were just talking about who it might
I don't know.
be for. Who is it for?
I think it was for
The stone lovers.
I think honestly, like I think this is kind of how I got sucked into their like little marketing spiral. Is I was watching the Rogue Invitational live on YouTube.
Yep.
Because it was aired on YouTube Live, and so now my suggested feed, like, oh, this person's interested in what we just were playing. So now it's in my feed. Like if I say I resonated with that and I'm interested, now they're just feeding me this, hey, here's this other stuff we got.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like, oh, it's for the people that watched our shit live.
You got algoed.
Yeah.
I think us three for sure. Not only the algorithm, but I think where we all kind of know the story of Mark Henry, or we know the story of Bill Kazmaier, Ed Cohn, or Larry Pacifico, but we don't know the story of Terry Todd, although he's integral in all this. He's integral in what we do, right? Like, I don't want to like beef up this movie or like be the guy that's hopping into the propaganda, but if there's no Terry Todd, there may not be no Third Street, like potentially, right?
Yeah,
with butterfly effect, like we don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like he was so integral in all of this, which is cool. And so I think that's why the movie, despite the politics and darkness and business, we all probably see through some of it. Or I'll throw the one real shade at this: Larry Pacifico's athletes. Some of those squats.
Yeah, that one guy's knee kept valgusing
Well,
in.
not only that, like he's high as shit. He's in knee wraps. Like, we'll go 335 next time. Like, oh, I don't know, Larry. Like, Larry, you're stronger and have done way more than I have in the sport, but I don't know what squats are going on for some of those kids.
Well, they're doing quarter squats.
Yeah. Besides all that, I think telling an untold story that probably had to be told because it's not told anywhere else because there wasn't YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, I would agree with that part. How would you feel about how long it was?
Too long.
Yeah, a little long.
It was at least a good half hour too long.
Oh, I would say that could have been a 45, 39 minute.
I would say 30 minutes, especially if you're publishing it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not. And I understand if you're trying to sell it to Netflix, because Netflix is only going to buy it if they know they have a bunch of meatheads subscribed to Netflix, and then you're getting the guys that are super dedicated about this history stuff.
Yeah.
You get it, but it's definitely a half an hour YouTube video.
Yeah, as it was going on, I was thinking this is maybe not for me because I have already learned as much as I needed to know about. I mean, this is obviously an outstanding person,
Right.
And it was made by people who really cared about him
Yeah.
and really want everybody to understand how special he was. But I could have gotten that in less time.
Yeah, I think a lot of the Arnold stuff actually could have been taken out. A couple of the interviews, obviously, and we won't mention who I would cut out. A lot of you bitches. But I think they could mention his integral part in the Arnold, but they didn't have to stretch all the Arnold stuff.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was you nailed it.
Or the museum stuff, and I get they're promoting it. But you
Honestly, like I kind of want to go.
yeah, no, I would
If I'm in the
definitely.
area,
I would
definitely
definitely
would
go.
go.
I would definitely
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
But yeah, how they like do it all is a little much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
But
this
that's
use-
every
there was-
movie,
there was-
right?
Yeah, some better than others. I think this is on the worst side of like useless interviews or useless
Yeah.
like side stuff. As far as like for the story didn't need it.
Right.
Like, it,
Yeah.
it fits it, but it
The-
doesn't necessarily like need it to move.
The beginning got me a lot more for sure.
Yeah.
Talking about his strength and playing tennis and all that got me a lot more for sure.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, very.
The rest of it was kind of like cookie cutter. Just needs to be in a documentary
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, kind of around the Mark Henry time, it started to like bringing him to the island, training in the barn, got all that cool, and then you kind of lost me. But that's every movie also because I got ADHD.
So, did any one thing surprise you more than anything else that you learned in the course of watching this?
I would say the Kaz Mark Henry connect because I knew much of their career, but didn't necessarily know their mentors or
Yeah.
previous, and that he was like maybe the first national champion at
Yeah.
EU, and I didn't know it was so old. Because what's interesting, at least in my head, strongman's kind of known as a new sport, and although it's evolved a shit ton and gotten a lot of popularity, strongman and powerlifting, at least American organized powerlifting, it all kind of seems to be much more similar timeline than I maybe thought. In my, at least the impression when I think about it immediately.
What about you, Dean?
Yeah, I guess I would say like how calculated they select those like how he was kind of selecting the competitions.
Oh yeah,
You know, like how it wasn't just like random. Looks like because there's this is just some random shit.
sure.
Like, oh no, these are all like historically like accurate
Yeah.
things that have been done before, but
Yeah.
our beefed up version of that.
Yeah, which is
I think
cool.
it was more of like, I guess I would say how passionate and how like I said calculated.
And that's what they say,
that
right?
They made those strongman competitions at Arnold. And stuff
They
like
they
that.
say his number one gift was storytelling.
Yeah,
which
did that
is-
through
yeah.
the equipment.
Yeah,
too,
which is
and I
cool.
thought- and I love that kind of shit.
I do too.
So that's why I thought that was cool.
When you talk to fans of strongman, they always talk about how heavy everything is at the Arnold, and it's totally
Right.
reflected in this. The big surprise to me was the Canadian connection that he was at Dalhousie. I mean, I've been there. I had no clue, no idea at all.
People that live there probably don't know.
Probably not.
Our sport's still so niche, despite
Yeah.
how cool we think we are.
Yeah.
No one knows. No one cares.
Let's try this. This is something we've never done before.
No, I like this format, Jim. Keep this.
Let's rate this film individually.
Okay.
And we will use a rating method that is applied to something that we said in the course of this episode,
Yeah.
and that is stones. So on a scale of 1 to 5
Stone.
completely fuckable stones.
Our stones are like the first weight, right?
Well, yeah, right.
Right.
Other than our own body weight, yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
No, but that's what they use stone, right?
Right, yeah.
Remember that one guy said 11 stone, so about 14 pounds stone. So you do the fucking math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need.
I loved his toupee, by the way. But anyway.
Oh yeah, dude, looked legit.
Oh, poor guy. Poor guy.
He looked like the uncle. He looked like the uncle from fucking Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
When they were interviewing him, I think in the beginning, his accent was so strong. I was like, motherfucking Shrek's in here. But then he talks on stage at the Arnold, and he had like no accent. I was
think
like,
that
are
was
you
like
faking, you motherfucker? Like,
Probably.
it felt fake for a second.
He was genericizing. This guy's got an OBE though. He's got an Order of the British Empire. So
Yeah, he's in it. What I need one more, because I always do this with ratings. I need to know like what I'm rating against. Like, am I rating against all movies? Am I rating against documentaries? Am I rating against strength documentaries?
I think you're rating how much you enjoyed this film.
Yeah, see, I'm bad at that. I'm really bad at that. I'll give it 3.5 stone.
All right.
3.5 stone. 3.27 stone.
I'll say 3 stone based off of the fact that I have this like long time obsession with like
You're
old
a stone
strongman.
guy. You're a
Old
stone
strongman. I've always that's how I honestly like the first time I ever knew what fitness was for recreationally. That's not for like sport performance was through strongman. So I really like as a young kid on random TV channel PBS or the hell it was. So I'm gonna give it a 3 because of that. But I think that it loses a lot of points with the length and the kind of like brandy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would objectively say 2.5 to 3, probably 3. I mean, I absolutely appreciate the effort. I understand the kind of work that goes into it, knowing some of the people who were involved in making it, knowing some of the people in it. I don't want to slam it, but at the same time, objectively, it is longer than it needs to be, and objectively, it probably covers more territory in the strength world than it absolutely needed to.
I needed more Terry Todd and less strength world.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I like Terry Todd.
I agree with you.
No, Terry Todd was like
He was the best part.
very
Obviously.
interesting. Like, his passion alone for just knowledge and sharing strength knowledge.
Right.
It's like you could see like all these photos and videos they had of him. He was all over the place with like all different types of athletes. Like he looked like at one play he was like it looked like he was like maybe in the Dominican when there was like a net in the background.
He's coaching like 5 people, right?
Yeah, he's
I
like got his leg up in those sweet fucking parachute pants.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm like,
he
what
had
is he touch? Are these baseball players? Like,
yeah, he had like an
everywhere.
NFL tee on. I was trying to pay attention close. It looked like
The
he had
whole
like
fit was fire.
No, it was good. It was all good. Yeah, I agree.
But like, his just like, I mean, the guys like that, man, that are just like they'll talk to anybody at any sport, and it'll transfer over. Like his passion, like they didn't get enough. Like they got into his passion, but they didn't.
Yeah, they had a couple really good Terry Todd stories. You know, Mark Henry told 1 or 2, and then the basketball player told 1. Like they needed more. We needed more stories of Terry Todd.
Yeah, I didn't,
and less of strong.
I didn't walk away necessarily understanding what drove him in all of that.
Yeah. No, you're right. I guess it's just his love.
Yeah, I think the Scottish guy tried to talk on that.
Yeah.
You know, then that's how they became friends because they both just had a passion for general strength. But I agree, they could have really homered that point.
Yeah.
The one thing I forgot that's in my notes, the whole thing, is that connects it to Power Unlimited is the use of the term iron bug.
Yeah, they
Thank
mentioned
God it was
that.
only in it once or twice and not 7,000 times like it is in
They do
Got
dig
bit
it
by
in
the
there.
iron bug.
Yeah.
But they almost make it seem like Todd invented that term.
Yeah,
in a
they
way,
do sort
which
of
is
seem
cool.
that, they also make it sound like maybe he was the first person to write up a very deep examination style meat report.
Yeah, no, for sure. In his magazine
meat
and his
writing,
writing,
yeah.
and then something else. I just lost it. I had something really good.
Somebody's asked. Go ahead.
They talked about like, and I think it's someone else talking about him, and maybe a little bit going back to his overall mission. Is he talks about, which I think is part of my mission, what the barbell can teach you as a human.
Yeah,
and they hit that for a little bit, but that should have been the thing. Is that because talk about him being a teacher, an intellectual, liking students,
Renaissance man.
Yeah, Renaissance guy, about what the iron can really teach you about being a human, rather than they focused on like his contributions to strongman at the Arnold, which is fine and a great contribution. But I think the other one, at least I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think that's what keeps us in the iron game, is that it can teach you some discipline, it can teach you how to be a good human, it can teach you community, it can teach you all these things, and that kind of seemed, again, not knowing the guy, but that seems what was in his heart.
The mental toughness alone that I've gained as a person because of training has been you can't put a price on it.
Right.
Like as far as like, like even with this regular life shit and handling stressful situations.
Yeah, business is good days, bad days.
That doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah. Right. And that's something I try to harp on without being annoying, but I think that was going back to the iron bug, maybe him inventing that term, but I think that was the homer that they bunted.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Well, you know what they say? I'm just a gym rat bit by the iron bug.
Iron bugs. Yeah, it's good. Watch it. Watch it if you're into strength.
Yeah, that's actually the other. The
I think it's
final
worth a
question.
watch.
Yeah.
I think it's worth a watch for sure.
I'm not going to rewatch it.
No,
No,
I'm not going
no,
to
no.
rewatch
but
it.
it's
either.
worth a watch.
Probably
Yeah.
won't rewatch any documentary ever.
There's a few. I think one of the early Mike Tyson ones I watched, or an early Ali one I've watched.
Is that a
couple
30
times.
for 30 or is it like a documentary?
No, this I bought it on like DVD in the '90s
Okay,
kind of
okay.
deal. You know.
So you feel obligated. 'Cause if you're
Not only
financially
because
invested-
not only that, but I love because talk about like what drives people. Like Tyson interviews, you can really feel like, man, this
Dude,
motherfucker's
yeah.
crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Or Ali stuff, how charismatic he is. Like, man, this dude's just built a little different. His brain works a little different. So I can rewatch when
Okay.
when the point
Okay,
is
that's
hit
fair.
well.
That's fair.
That's actually kind of a good question. How many documentaries have you watched more than once?
Icarus, I could rewatch every couple years because I think is really good. Icarus might be
Icarus
one
is
of my
like-
top
Icarus,
documentaries of all time. It's really good.
Icarus knows how to like keep you like edgy.
It's
on your
moving
ed-
because
on
it
your
is.
edge.
It's like a crime show. It's an international
Yeah.
relations thing. It's a steroid thing.
kind
It's
of
a
like a
sports
movie.
thing. It's a really good movie. It's
Yeah.
not even a documentary.
Yeah.
It's a really good
They
movie.
should just make a movie of it.
Dude, a fake one
should do make
with
a
Nick
movie.
Cage or something.
Dude, yeah. Nick Cage is the crazy scientist.
with a terrible Russian accent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Awful
That's
Russian
how it would
accent.
have to be.
Yeah. You get Steve Carell as who's the American, the biker.
The bicycle.
Yeah, that's Steve Carell.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'll make it. Give me a
Dude.
budget.
So funny. Who's gonna play Putin?
You, dude.
Yeah,
You
sure.
could play Putin.
We probably just could get Putin to play Putin.
Yeah,
That'd
probably.
be-
Yeah, you just
Oh,
use
yeah,
clips.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just chop away and use real clips.
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. I watched for some reason Hunt for Red October.
that's
I
a good
cannot not watch that movie if it's on
Good
for
movie.
whatever reason. But boy, the Russian accents are terrible, and Sean Connery just gives up after the first like
Yeah,
5
he
minutes.
stops. Yeah, I think that's kind of on brand for him with movies. I've heard that
Yeah.
he just kind of like
Does his own
he
voice,
kind of just
yeah.
like stops, and then no one's like, "What are you going to tell him?" He's Sean Connery.
You're gonna fire him mid movie.
He's still Sean Connery.
Yeah, it's so funny.
All right. This was fun.
Yeah, I liked your format, Jim. I say we keep it.
Alrighty.
I like the format.
Yep.
I like the little bit of this the
It's a
added
mini
structure.
structure. Yeah, because I'm off the rails.
Doesn't keep us confined, but it gives us a path.
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. We'll find a new one. Something popped in my head. I forgot, but we'll think of another movie to watch coming soon. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, obviously Tiger King season 2.
I haven't even watched one.
No, I
dude.
haven't.
I'm
You
just
haven't
too
watched the first
hipster. Yeah, I'm too hipster. I can't do
I
it.
I don't think I'm going to do it with the second season.
No.
Anyway, sorry.
No.
I watched the first one. I don't think I need to see.
I don't
it.
think
Yeah.
I do either.
yeah.
I didn't need to see the second half of the first
No,
one. either.
there's
That's fair,
no
too.
way. Even if it's better, it's gonna flop. Like Tiger King dropped like week 1 COVID lockdown.
Dude, I think it's like number 2 trending. I think
Fuck.
it's inevitable.
Do you think those are fake?
Huh?
Netflix trendings?
Oh,
It
that's
doesn't
a really
matter.
good question. I don't know. They only disclose so much, so I
Fucking
don't know.
liars.
Apparently, The Rock gets all the fucking info because he went to Instagram like
Yeah.
the same day about their
He's
movie
lying,
and
too,
their
for all we know.
with their numbers and percentages.
10 people could have watched it. The Rock's gonna. Let me talk a little
And
shit
then he
on The
throws
Rock
and then
before
he
we
throws
end
it-
this
And then he
thing.
throws his Terramana. You know what? I'm honestly gonna celebrate with a nice glass of Terramana after this.
What tells you a lot about The Rock, or at least tells me about The Rock that people are completely ignoring, is he maybe made one post about making the movie. Little do I know. I don't know. I'm
don't even
making
know
some
if
of
I
it
ever
up.
saw
I'm
him
making it up.
promote it.
I'm making
Yeah.
it up. But maybe one about like, oh, I'm on set with Ryan Reynolds.
Mhm.
Super fun. 2, he made one post about promoting it. Oh, Red Notice out now. He's made 8 posts about that it's number 1 in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that doesn't tell you the type of human you're dealing with,
Yes.
then you guys, because everyone gives me slander for not liking The Rock, but
Oh,
that
I don't
explains
like-
it
I
all.
don't like
that
The
explains
Rock.
it all right there.
Yeah. He's a robot.
Imagine a power lifter whose Instagram
Tells you what you want to hear. He
No,
tells
he's-
you what you want to hear, guy.
Yeah, he's a
You
fucking
can't trust him
narcissist
for- you
guy.
can't- you can't trust him.
But they do. They do. Imagine a power lifter though, an Instagram content creating power lifter who posts 1 training footage, 1 meat tape, and then 10 about the world records they posted.
Yeah.
That never happens.
No.
It's always like their whole training,
Right.
1 meat post saying how they did, and
Yeah.
maybe a world record and a thank you.
Actually,
That's just normal human thought. And how The Rock works is not normal human.
Oh no, he's not normal. by
No, he's a
nature.
fucking narcissist.
the I came staying in the wrong place sometime in 2000 probably 6 or 7, staying just in the wrong location from meeting The Rock back then.
Yeah, back then I loved The Rock. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, I love that Rock. It doesn't matter. I love that Rock. Shine up my boot and
You
kick.
said you saw this movie, right?
Shove it up your candy ass. I love that Rock.
The
yeah,
Red Note. Yeah, you watch it. I mean, I get that he's kind. Like, I don't buy that he's like this most marketable guy. His acting is so bad.
No, he doesn't act.
But why is he so popular?
But why is his acting so good in wrestling?
Don't get me started on people who are popular who should probably not be popular.
He was
because
so
they're
good.
Terrible.
He was
Don't
so
start
good
me
on the
that.
mic in the ring. He was so good as a wrestler.
Yeah.
And he was acting. He was acting this cocky
And he's
bitch stuff.
he's looking grosser by the
No,
day.
no, he's
dude. Like
done, dude.
his face is getting so deformed from all the sauce.
No, it's
Like,
from
you
all the
don't know,
ego.
like-
His ego's dripping through his pores.
And he's clearly like getting other injections other places. He's just turning into fucking Red Skull.
yeah. He could play Red Skull. He's really close.
That'd be
He's fucking-
a very big Red Skull.
Yeah, it's really cool because he got hella skinny for Black Adam or whatever. You know, hella lean or juicy.
Yeah.
Is that like has that already come out?
I don't know.
No,
I'm
not
not
yet.
watching that either,
No,
dude.
who's gonna
Dwayne doesn't get any of my money.
Yeah, DC.
except for fucking Red Nose.
Yeah, I'm on my
That was for
sister's
Reynolds.
and I'm on my sister's Netflix, dude. It's not my money.
That was for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan's alright.
who always delivers.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not pay Gal Gadot. She
Yeah.
deserves it.
I don't
Yeah.
even, honestly, it's funny. I just call her Wonder Woman because I don't know her name.
Gal.
Gal.
Gal Gadot. Where can people find you, Dean?
At Caffeine Kilos on Instagram and all that stuff, and then at Dean Saddoris CK.
Ladies and gentlemen, give us a rating, review, share with us. Hit us on Twitter, Instagram with movies you want us to cover. This was a good one because it was brand new and right up our alley. Appreciate you, Silent Mike, 3sb.co, and we'll catch you next Wednesday.
I mean, I'm at the Jim McD on all the social media. The show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. And we do this on Wednesdays, and we do Topic Thunder on Fridays on the audio feed, and the video feed of Topic Thunder is on Mike's YouTube. So watch all those things and enjoy them, and we'll talk to you next time.